Hello and welcome back. Another week, five chapters of boyfriend material. Now, I cannot explain what this book has started doing to me because I've been catching myself. I've been hyper aware what I've been doing while reading, and you know what I've been doing. At least for the whole fucking thing, but for these chapters, I was really aware of it. I'd be sitting there on my couch reading. And I'd just be reading the book, and then I'd catch myself doing this. I just keep fucking smiling. Oh my god, it's just... The things that occur are just so cute and so fun, and so fills my heart with joy. My cold, just stale heart is just like getting revitalized. It went on a dip on that 1 week that I didn't get any red, white, and royal blue, and then now it's all boyfriend material. There is something about a romance book that just gets me, and you know, having a gay male romance book also just it gets, because it's so like it hits too close to home. It makes me feel lonely, but there's just something about it, and something I'm enjoying so much. And to get back into reading has also been such a treat and such a journey, because there's something to be said about movies and books, and I love movies and films and TV and yada yada, and getting to see, you know, chemistry on screen, but the way words are written to make, like, in these books are just so fantastic. I'm just having a great time, and I want to gush over how much of a great time I'm having. Other than that, should we just get into these chapters? Yes, because they're good, they're fun, they're so enjoyable. So, let's get into chapter 21. So Luke's having a rough time of it, because he doesn't know what he should be doing. He's a bit lost. He's in this state, and I reckon it is a state of growth and of change, because everything's happening a little bit different from what he's used to. He's not in this state of, let's just say it, wallowing in self-pity and just going about his routines and staying in this kind of pit of despair. He's kind of like, I don't know what to do, and I kind of have someone in my life that kind of makes me want to do things and enjoy things, and I enjoy talking to them, but it's not real. But we have this, I want to, I don't want, I want to, I should be doing things, what should I do? And this bit, like, straight in was so fun, and I do this thing sometimes, I don't know if you can see it, if you can see my scribblings, but it's I circle everything so I know which bits I want to come back to or which bits I want to read, to like focus on how I navigate through these videos, even though I try and navigate so it's at appropriate length and they always go too long. But I started with like one circle. I was like, that bit's good. But no, I need to circle it bigger because I like this. No, I did about like 5 circles, as if you saw what I just had. Because it just kept getting good, and I loved it. He still texted because of course he would. Though mainly he said things like, grabbing a bagel, case is complicated, can't discuss it, apologies for lack of dick pic, which was lovely for about 3 seconds, and then just made me miss him. And what was with that? Was my life really so empty that Oliver could just walk into it, sit down, and start taking up space? I mean, it probably was, but somehow, even after so little time, I couldn't imagine anyone doing that but him. After all, who else could be that annoying, and thoughtful, and protective, and secretly kind of funny? A bugger. The enemies to lovers, the hateful is such a good trope. I like that he is still, and we do progress completely up these chapters, but he's still got that sense of, he sucks, but I like him. Does that continue for these chapters? No, it doesn't. And it does a little bit, but he's starting to really, I don't know, I think this could very much play with his mind, and I do worry what is to come in a way, because obviously it is a fake relationship, and going forward, there could be, even though we've had Oliver make hints that and through this chapter we see it, how much they do like each other. I'm just scared that there is going to be, I think it could go one of two ways. Either they actually are like, oh, maybe when the conflict, that is, I think they're going to end up in a relationship at the end, but there's going to be a conflict when they realize, oh, maybe we don't actually want it, like, this got too real too quickly and something's happened and we're going to back off for a bit, but then realize how much we love each other. Or Luke fucks up one of Oliver's social events. They're the two things. Oliver could fuck up Luke's, but I think that is like, because we know Oliver's just too like good at literally everything, and I am like slightly in love. But that's my guess. So Luke is trying to, he's like, what do I do? Do you know what I'll do? I'll clean my apartment. And it's like, oh, he started cleaning his apartment. 20 minutes later, I'm fucking sick of cleaning my apartment. And I completely get that. And he was talking about how he was like, kind of got really emotional, and it was just a lot of work. And, you know, you get to, you got to put things there, and then there's more things where you're going to put them. So you take those things out, maybe put those there. And you just keep, it's an endless cycle, especially when you have not kept up with how you're going. I'll read this bit. I tried to lie on the floor and sob pathetically, but there was no room, so I lay on my bed, which I'm sure still smelled faintly of Oliver, and sobbed pathetically there instead. Nice going, Luke. Very not a loser. What was wrong with me? Why was I putting myself through this? This was all Oliver's fault, with his "you are special" eyes and "you're beautiful, Lucy" and bullshit, half convincing me I was worth something, when I knew exactly what I was worth down to the nearest fucking penny. Now, we can just see this, and I think it's really well done, with setting Luke up, having all this like self-doubt, self-esteem problems, but emblematic of the fact that his apartment represents that, and how you know, he's been a mess, he's been living in this mess, and he's not clear on what he wants to do, therefore, you know, the floors aren't clear, everything's muddled, and to start trying to clean is, in a way, so emotional, because you have to get rid of all this baggage, both literally and, like, metaphorically. Like, in his mind, he has to, because you're not only, when you do a big clean, especially after what we can assume is a kind of a long depression, you kind of have to declutter mentally. You have to remove things, and, you know, you're moving your space, and you're working on change. But to start that, especially by yourself, is really hard. And I understand, like, and he knows by cleaning, I think there is a deep part of him that knows things will get better. And that's kind of a new, scary, like, place for him to go. He's used to living in this, and when you live in and everything's like dirty, you know how you feel, and to switch that, you're gonna feel lighter, and but it's a new emotion, which is scary. And I say this because Luke and I are the fucking same. I've said this again. In my mind of minds, I want to audition for Luke, because I said this in the last one, and I'll say this again, and I'll say this forever. But God, I feel the same. I do the same thing. I'll go to my room, like, what you can see is fairly tidy, even though I've got piles of beautiful, lovely crap that I love. But with, like, my bedroom, I will get home from certain days, I'll put things on the ground, you know, I do my washing, so don't worry, that's there. But, you know, I'll put my washing on the ground, I'll be like, I'll clean it up later. And then I've got, like, some clothes that I've taken off, and they'll stay on the ground. And it slowly piles up, and I think, yes, I'll get to it. And then I start getting used to this, and I rationalize with myself, and I'll go to bed, and shit'll be on the bed, and I'll just be like, it's fine. I feel like, you know, it's gross to anyone else, but to me it makes sense. To me it's safe. And literally last night, before I had read this chapter, I got home and I was like, nah, I'm sick of this. I want it to feel like clean. I want it to feel like a clean slate. I need to work through this. And you, like, procrastinate about it. But because I go through this so often, I was like, no, I'm just getting it done. And I did it. And then you look at, like, all this cleanness and space, and you're like, oh, I feel great. So I completely understand where Luke is at this period, and how he's going to, like, move forward towards it. But his dad rings. He's kind of like, hesitant, of course, but he's got this thing in the back of his mind. He has Oliver in the back of his mind saying, like, give him a chance, like, work with him. So they decide in a couple of weeks they're gonna go down to somewhere where Luke's dad has land, or a place that is a place that can be what? A house? I couldn't really tell. Should I have figured that out? Yes, but he's going to meet with him and he's like, I'm bringing my boyfriend. I'm like, I gotta have the power. He's like, that's fine. I love that. And he's like, why couldn't my dad be a homophobe? He's like, that just makes things so much easier. But I think it's funny that he's like, I just want something more to hate, because learning about him and talking to him is slightly realizing that he may not be as bad as I think, even though he did like leave and that was horrible. He wants the person he has in his mind to match who he is, and that's not like lining up. But because he's fucking mentally exhausted, he sleeps and he wakes up to all these texts from Oliver, which I have to read out because I died on the inside. I was smiling so hard. 12 texts from Oliver and my alarm. The text said, I miss you. Sorry, was that too much? I know it's only been a few days. Maybe this is why people don't want to go out with me. Not that you're really going out with me anyway. I hope that didn't sound presumptuous. I'm probably sounding really weird now. I'm assuming you're not texting back because you're asleep, not because you think I'm disgustingly clingy. If you're awake and think I'm disgustingly clingy, could you at least tell me? Right, you're probably asleep. And now you're going to wake up and read all this and I'm going to die of embarrassment. Sorry. And the alarm said, you're going to be late for work, cockface. But I still paused long enough to reply to Oliver. I was missing you too, but then you sent me a million texts, and it was like you were in the room. Also, still no dick pic? Also, we're meeting my dad Sunday after next. Hope that's okay. Despite my flat looking like a bomb that had thought about going off, but got too depressed and sat in the corner eating Pringles and crying, I was in an oddly good mood. I think maybe I just like waking up to Oliver. Eek! Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. And the fact that he's like, my flat still looked awful, but I think, and I read too far into things, but maybe I think I could be, sometimes I'm like, it could be implied. I think it's the start of, to think about cleaning is a start of that process. And in his mind, it started, and I think obviously having Oliver texting him and stuff is going to help a lot. But also seeing Oliver, this cool, calm, collected, suave, beautiful, hot guy completely like fumble and just like embarrassingly like grossly text is just the best thing ever. Oh, like I'm clingy. Oh, I'm sorry. Like I don't want to, like he overthinks it. And I love how they both have this underlying like anxiousness that they can at least have something to relate to each other or understand each other in a way, which is just, ooh, so fun. Luke's doing some stuff. He goes to work. He gets an email, been like, oh yeah, we're happy to like come to the Beetle Drive. Maybe we should catch up for lunch. He's freaking out because everyone that would donate is like rich, kind of snobby. Maybe they're probably nice people, but from Luke's perspective, also he comes from there's a 50-50. They could be awful, they could be really nice. And Luke's freaking out because he's like, I don't know where to take these people. Like, who am I? They're also vegans. And he's like, how am I to know where to take people? And I've got to act, professional and whatever. And Reese has actually been like super helpful. It's lovely. And I think a part of that may possibly be because he helped him with the coffee last time, even though Reese still admits that Luke is a bit of an asshole, and that comes up back and forward. I think it's switching Luke's perspective of himself, how he affects others. But he's just talking about how Reese knows a lady that owns a pop-up vegan place, which would be great. Luke's actually like, that's crazy. But is it any good? She won the South Wales Eco Food and Drink Award a couple of years back. Though she did marry an English woman, so her taste is questionable. Wait, your friend's a lesbian? It'd be a bit strange of her to marry a woman if she wasn't. No, I just kind of assumed all your friends would be more... That's quite homophobic of you, Luke. If you don't mind me saying. He climbed to his feet and ambled back into the corridor, pausing on the threshold to give me a stern look. You're not the only gay in the village, you know. Well, that was me told. Now, first of all, I like that Luke has this very, like, way of people and how they're stuck into a particular structure. He's good at, like, grouping people together and not thinking that they mix. This comes up later and I will talk about it more. But talking about, straight people and how they only act with straights and gay people only act with gay. He's very, and I'm just like, yeah, Luke, people are like, have friends of all different, I was like, Luke, also, like, calm down. Calm down a second. We need to figure out that people can enjoy literally anyone. We can be friends with anyone. We need to stop with this. Is it marginalizing? Sectionalizing? Marginalizing. Maybe that might be the correct word. But also, I wanted to ask, and if anyone knows, you're not the only gay in the village, you know. Is that a quote? And I don't know what it's called or who it is. I think it's that show with the guys on a British comedy and they do different skits. And one of them's on like British X Factor or like Britain's Got Talent. David Williams, possibly. Is it that show? Is that the reference? Because if so, I want to be really proud of myself to catch that, because I've seen clips of them. Because there's the bald guy and he wears like a latex suit and he's the gay in the... Anywho, let me know if I'm on the right track or not. Because I think that's what it is, but I honestly don't know. Because I do consume, or used to in my like... When I was like 16, consumed a lot of British television. Like a lot of like, loved it so much. But just let me know. If you could, let me know. If I'm right. If I'm wrong, don't tell me. Because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to know. So basically, we go on with our day. We start, Oliver's texting us. And we usually text him, but it goes on for a bit longer than usual. Which we're not mad about. But he starts with sending a picture of a Richard and he's like, oh, it's a dick pic. And it starts this really cute inside joke that is adorable and really comes back throughout these chapters. But there's a couple of bits in these texts that were just really, really fun and cute and made me smile. So Oliver had asked, how's work? How's it going? And Oliver doesn't reply for a second. Yes, he finally said, I'm just not used to. He left that half sentence hanging for a really long time. Then, sorry, I pressed send too early. Okay, he was not getting away with that. I'd like the second half, please. I didn't mean to send the first half. Well, you have to. As a 5-word phrase goes, I'm not just used to is nearly as bad as we need to talk. Hate that one. Sorry. Oliver! I'm just not used to having something in my life as important to me as my job. I think my heart just, started. I haven't felt it. You there? I haven't felt it in a while, but it just started beating. I typed out, you're really taking this fake boyfriend business seriously, aren't you? But didn't have the heart to send it. They're real boyfriends. They're real. You can't persuade me otherwise. We jumped down. They're talking about having lunch tomorrow because they'd like to see each other. So we have lunch, as I suggested in my other text. So he panicked then. As a world-class panicker, I was well placed to read the signs. There was a bunch of things I could have done. I could have had teased him, or pressed him, or fucked with him. But none of them seemed right just then. So I let it go. That sounds great, I sent. But what about your case? So just the fact that he's moved on from bullying, which, would still be definitely fun in a relationship. You gotta have that light bullying and banter. It is fun, but the fact that he saw this moment where he's like, actually, I'm not going to. I'm just going to go into being nice and cute and sweet is amazing. Meet me at the Gladstone statue at 1. We'll go somewhere nice and photographable. God, he was thoughtful. And in whatever the texting equivalent to silence was that followed his last message, I sat on my sofa with my knees tucked under my chin, my brain churning restlessly. It was that weird space where I didn't actually know what I was thinking, only that thinking was kind of happening, but afterwards there came this calm, like fine rain on a too hot day. Hell, I had a lunch date with a barrister, a fake lunch date, admittedly, but a real barrister. And suddenly, my job didn't look quite as crap, and my flat didn't look quite as impossible. And I didn't feel quite as hollow. he's not as hot, like he's finding this like this purpose and fulfillment, and obviously it is a thing, I think, and I would think someone would have to be careful not to put their whole soul and body into one other person, because that can, create a lot in a relationship, and having that all on one person. But the fact that he says, my job didn't look quite as crap and my flat didn't look quite as crap, is so like important, that he's building up all the blocks of his life. He's not just putting everything he can into this one thing. Everything seems to be getting better, which is really enjoyable to think, because the other one can, when you put everything into a person, you could possibly put too much on them. And I don't know, I think that is a thing that can negatively impact things. But then he also texts all his friends and he's like, fuck, I need help. Like, can you guys help clean my apartment? Like, I want it to be clean for someone. And that also is so good, because he's reaching out to other people. Admittedly, he only seems to reach out to his friends when he needs something, which we get into. But it's good that he's going that. But also, Bridge keeps saying, how's the boyfriend? How's the boyfriend? How's the boyfriend? And he keeps ignoring it. But then she says, Luke, I'm going to keep asking you how things are with Oliver until you answer or my thumbs fall off. I took pity on her. Or maybe on everyone else. It's wonderful, we're getting married. Why do you think I need to clean my flat? You're being sarcastic. That means you secretly like him. See you on Sat, can't wait. From there, the conversation moved on to other things, and I stuck it out for long enough to prove that, whatever Priya said, I didn't only talk to my friends when I needed something from them. Then a bit longer to prove I wasn't just sticking around to prove I didn't only talk to my friends when I needed something from them. Then a bit longer than that, because I realized Priya had been right this whole time, and I was a bad person. And besides, it was nice. I hadn't realized how far I drifted from them, because they'd keep sculling towards me anyway. But I had, and I shouldn't have. It's fantastic that he's realizing that, and as I just said, to put something in everyone and to have one person be the thing that brings you back can be really fantastic, but to rely on that and have that only one source as your like joy and fulfillment can be rough, especially going forward. For having someone to bring you out of a rut is fantastic, but I think then you need to find those things that can keep you there, devoid or partly not with just that person. And for him to be finding purpose in cleaning the flat, enjoying his job, and realizing that his friends are really like good and fun and enjoyable, and having them as this support group is great to see. At the start of chapter 2, I'll just do it quickly because it was a really cute little line, but they had lunch a couple of times on Fridays. We did lunch again on Friday, so they had 2 lunch dates. Without much expectation of anyone caring, but we felt we should keep up appearances anyway. And I, liked, seeing, him and stuff. I won't squeal, but I am screaming on the inside. Just the fact that he's like, yes, like, I like seeing you. But Bridge calls and she's like, we're on Saturday, we're on the cleaning day, and she's like, shit's going down at the worldwide book. I don't know where she works. I forget. She works with books and authors, but she's like, shit's going down, can't show up. And she's like freaking out because she does the thing where she's like, I'm going to get fired. I rolled my eyes, only because she couldn't see me. You're not going to get fired, Bridge. You'll never get fired. They keep getting you to deal with this sort of nonsense because you're actually fantastic at your job. There was a long silence. Are you feeling okay? Fine, why? I can't remember the last time you said something nice about, well, anything. I thought about this for slightly longer than I was comfortable having to think about it. When you got that new haircut, the one with the cute fringe, I told you it looked really good on you. That was 3 years ago. I gasped. It was not. Luke, I can remember when fringes were in. Jesus, I sank down into the arm on my sofa. I'm sorry. Just, this connection is fantastic. I love he's changing. You can see he's changing a bit. He's being nicer. And there's nothing wrong with being catty all the time, or trying to add humor and hilarity, and sometimes that builds up when you do give people compliments. They do take it better because they feel like when you're not like that all the time, it is really sincere and genuine. But I think there's a difference between catty and annoying and bantery all the time when you're in a dark place versus a happy place. Because I would like to say I think I'm catty and a shit stirrer a lot to my friends and all the time. But as I feel like positive most of the time, you know, we all have rough days and I definitely have them. But, you know, when I'm in a good mood, all my cattiness I feel like is said with the most like love and playful annoyance that I can muster. And there's a difference between that and when, personally, when I'm catty on when I'm having a shit day and things I go for the jugular. I'm not good. All my emotions I wear on my sleeve. Is that the saying? I don't know. But I run red hot when I'm mad. I run very warm, very vicious and aggressive. I can't speak. Apparently I'm like, we shouldn't talk about mad. You're in a good mood. But I know that feeling. Like, I try and stay like quiet and to myself when I'm in a shit mood because I know I can be like that. But I'm just like, Luke, I'm happy that you're moving away from that, because I can see where you're coming from. I have those days, but I feel like he has that a lot. So to see him start like kind of evolving and growing and blossoming is just fantastic to see. So our friends come over, we do a lot of work. Like a lot of works. The James Royce's, Priya, her girlfriend, who's a professor, and they do heaps of great work. Like, honestly, if your friends are going to help you clean the apartment, they're good friends to like work through that. But they have a picnic that one of the Jameses. Also, I can slightly never distinguish when one of them is talking, but I just assume one of them's quiet, so most of the time he's not talking at all. But Priya's girlfriend is asking Luke about his fake boyfriend, and he's like, oh, he's like a barrister, he works for the criminal stuff. And she's like, oh, I know that can be hard and people move out of that. Well, Oliver's got a lot of passion for it. I can't imagine him wanting to do anything else, really. She looked thoughtful for a moment. Then he's lucky, although in my experience, there's no one thing you need to make you happy. I just really liked that quote. I had to like, it's not really in the middle of anything else that I was like there, but I really like there's no one thing you need to make you happy. I feel like if I'm reading it and looking at it correct, it's obviously happiness comes from a very like multitude of things. And I agree, like people say like, money can't make you happy, which is, I think, a dumb saying because it can definitely contribute. But just, I think it's very true. And I think it is some of the things that we have been saying, like you can't just hold all your happiness to Oliver. Happiness should come from separate places. I think that is such an interesting thing. And I think you get different happiness from different people. Like I get happiness from my friends. I get happiness like from playing video games, watching TV, making videos. I get happiness from that. Like I get happiness from my family and my parents but it's a different sort. It doesn't provide the same things, but equally everything kind of makes a whole happiness, which is very, I don't even think it's like that deep or that revolutionary, or no one's ever talked about that before, but I liked that bringing it up. I feel like you have to jump into many different things to get that full form of anything really, and I just thought it was interesting. I liked it. I had to talk about it. Granted, I talk about literally everything, so, but you get what I mean. So they're all sitting around having chats, and then Luke looks at his phone and he's like, oh, he had sent me a picture of a different Richard. And he's like, nice dick, he sent back. Oh my god, Luke, cried James Royce. What happened to your mouth? I glanced up, startled. If there's hummus on my face, just tell me. It's far worse than that. You were smiling. Was I? At your phone. I love how everyone's so like, and he like starts making excuses and Priya's like, that is fucking bullshit. I threw my hands up. Fine. Oliver sent me a dick pic, okay? There was a long silence. Well, James Roy Royce drew a long breath, I enjoy a good penis as much as the next man, but I don't normally go misty-eye over them. Somewhat shamefaced, I turned my phone around and showed them the young Richard Chamberlain in a brown velvet coat holding a glass slipper. It's sort of a joke we have. Suddenly, with the exception of Theresa? One of them, who was looking very slightly confused, everyone had out their phones, and my own lit up with notification from the WhatsApp group. Bridget, we have something important to tell you. Luke and Oliver are totally in love. We are not. He sent him a dick pic and got all smiley over it. What? That makes no sense. Oliver would never do that. It was a picture of Richard Chamberlain, which means they had private jokes. They're getting married. I love how quickly they jump on this bandwagon, and I think it's so funny. I was used to my friends teasing me about basically everything. It was how we related to each other. But the afternoon they'd hit a survivalist bunker worth of ammunition. Apparently the idea of me giving a shit about someone was such a novelty that it supported an endless stream of jokes, jibes, and ribbings. And, for some reason, I was totally defenseless, reduced to stuttering and blushing. When I was sure once upon a time it would have just bounced straight off my armor of apathy. It took a bit of getting used to, because I spent a long time pretending I was invulnerable. But they were so obviously happy for me, and their goal was so obviously to get me to admit that I was happy for myself, and even I couldn't quite justify being a prick to them about it, which meant they got to laugh at me, and I got to take it, which didn't entirely suck. Growth! Character growth! I don't know, it's just like, it's like warms your soul, like, to see this and him just, he's starting to nearly like live a new life. You know what I mean? He's becoming different, and it's so fun and lovely to see. And even those little things of just connection and cleaning and making an effort to certain things, like even without having Oliver in the picture, even though Oliver was the catalyst to start these things, just like these little things can help so much in building you up. It's fantastic to see. So we start chapter 23. I woke up the next day in a clean flat, which was fucking weird. It was almost like I'd moved house. I didn't recognize anything or know where anything was, and there was this sense of emptiness I hadn't been conscious of since Miles moved out. Although there was also a sense of possibility that was completely new. Oh, I love that he's looking forward towards possibility and working towards different things and this new sense of hope and outlook. But I liked that because it was interesting. We've got more Miles talk, and he comes up once more in these chapters that I'm reading today. But I can't wait for him to talk about it more, because we've got a little bit of it, but we haven't got the full of it. And I can't wait till that is, because this is such a big block. This is nearly a very big not like a self-help book. I don't know how to word this, but it is a very indicative of getting out of certain things and of lows in your life. And I don't think this is the way anyone could go about it, and I don't think getting a fake boyfriend is a possibility for most people, because I don't think that happens in real life. It definitely does, but exactly like this is crazy and funny and is goofy. But just the way of seeing him learn these things and self-worth and self-esteem is very fun to read about and very interesting. I think sparks good debate in a way, which I love that I get to share with you, because I only know one person in my real life who has actually read this book. So I love that I get to chat about it in the comments with you. It gets this spark debate that we can talk about, which is fun. It's half the best thing about doing this sort of content, both book and film and anything, is that I get to talk about all the things I love so much with people that love it too, which is just the best. The internet sparks some crazy things, but also some pretty good ones. So Luke's mum calls, she's just checking in, she's telling him to come over, but then she's also I'm fucking pissed because you told your dad about having a boyfriend and not me, and I'm gonna lose it. And she's digging into him, she's why, he's it's complicated. Is he married? Is he in the wardrobe? Which I think is just the funniest thing to say. Like, instead of the closet, the wardrobe. You're secretly straight and seeing a woman? You know, I would love you. Anyway, even if you were straight. Which is also hilarious. No, none of these things. Wait, I have it. You're not really dating anyone. You've just persuaded some poor man to pretend to be your boyfriend because you're tired of everyone thinking you're lonely and pathetic. He's like, yeah. He's like, pretty much. He's like, yeah, kind of. In a way. He's like, I'm not that lonely or pathetic. But there's just that thing about mums, you know? And no, I will say and dads. But mums do it more because they fucking don't hold shit back. Sometimes they just, like, they can see through you or see things that you're thinking and they just know. You know what I mean? Even, like, there's things that you're self-conscious about that I think a mum will just go in on. And it's not even meant to be rude, even though it feels like the biggest fucking attack you've ever had in your life. But, like, it's just, they just know things or know what you're thinking or feel. Literally, I went home the other day and I was, like, chatting with my mum and she just goes, your skin is not looking like great at the moment, is it? Or she has said something like, oh, you got a lot more pimples than usual. And I'm just like, no, I just like shattered on the inside. I was like, how dare you? And she's like, well, I've just noticed and no one else is going to say anything. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, how do you know that I have been like thinking about this recently? And then we had a good chit chat about our family and how our skin reacts to different things. And it was helpful, but it's just that thing that mums go into, which is crazy that, I don't know, everything I seem to read in this book has somehow, like, I feel like I've lived it I don't know. It's getting too close for comfort. And I'm just like, how do they know these things? So basically he agrees to, like, you know, his mum's like, I just don't want to see you get hurt. Like, watch out for this fake stuff. Eventually, maybe I'd like to meet him. And he's like, whatever. She's like, will you come over tonight and we can watch Drag Race? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. She's like, I'm making special curry. He's like, get fucked. She hung up already. And you're like, shit. How do we get roped into this? But Oliver's texting us and, you know, actually, I'm pretty sure he rings us. But, you know, we're having a chat and he's like, Lucien. He suddenly sounded deadly serious. I'd like to see you this evening, if that's agreeable. And we're like, okay, taken aback. I take it you're too busy, and I know we saw each other on Friday, and the papers are likely to be sick of you for at least another week. I'm sorry, I should have planned this better, and please don't say that's the title of my third sex tape. They're doing an inside joke. I could have teased him about this imaginary sex tape literally forever, but there was this whole wanting to see me thing, which was perfect. It's not that I don't I was coming I can't say. There's certain words that I just perilously close to telling Oliver that I'd rather see him than watch old episodes of Drag Race with my mother, her best friend, and her best friend's spaniels. Which, now that I thought about it, wasn't the tremendous compliment I built it up in my head. Still, I couldn't say it though. I've kind of accidentally told my mum I'd go see her tonight. I would like you to formally acknowledge that I have taken the moral high ground and shall not suggest that accidentally told my mum I'll go see her tonight is the title of your sex tape. Anywho, but you should visit your mother. I know how much she means to you, which is like sweetie alert. I mean, you could help. Words are coming. Words were happening. And I couldn't seem to stop them. Come. If you wanted to. It'd be awful, because Mum already thinks you're Nicole Kidman. Don't ask. And she's making curry, which she doesn't know how to do. But she won't admit she doesn't know how to do it. And her best friend is this. Actually, I don't even know how to describe her. But she once told me she'd shot an elephant in her nightdress. And when I said, what was an elephant doing wearing your nightdress? She said, it broke into my tent. I think it got draped over its trunk. I recommend you breathe at some point in the very near future. He had a point. I breathed. Anyway, you can really sit this one out. I'm pretty sure it's too early for our fake relationship for you to be meeting my mother. Well, aren't I going to be meeting your father next week? That's different. I care about my mum. I'd like to meet her, if this wouldn't make you uncomfortable. I opened my mouth, realized I had no idea what I was going to say, and finally settled on, okay then. Given I was already late, Oliver suggested we rendezvous at Waterloo, which I suggested sounded like a terrible love song from the 40s. I texted my mum to let her know I was bringing my fake boyfriend, threw on a coat, dashed out the door, and tried not to think too hard about what it meant that I wanted Oliver to meet my mother. Explosions, internal explosions. I can't. Should we just move? It's so much. It's so cute. I just like how they both get so panicked and anxious about each other. And they both try and get what they want to say, but never do. And I think maybe some people could read that and it could get old, but to me it will never. I like that, like, hesitancy that they have. I think it just spells out, like, romanticism and absolute adorableness, and I love it so much. And I want to read it, literally. I love that, like, trope, and I could read about it forever. But we move into chapter 24. So they're on the train, they're trying to find out what to talk about with each other. Oliver asks him about his work, and he's talking about, you know, those people that he's got to have lunch with, and all those idiots that, you know, don't like him being a bad gay. I just don't think you should have to be dating someone like me for it to be acceptable to be someone like you. I finally meet his eyes again. How had I ever found them cold? I know, right? And what especially grinds my gonads is that it's not even my, I will admit, real and extensive personality flaws they object to. It's just that they think I might have casual sex sometimes. Which, ironically, I'd be doing more if I was in a healthier place emotionally. And then they go on about joking about being in a fake monogamous relationship, that they should be not having any fake sex with anyone else, and were they going to be fake monogamous in this fake relationship. And they've just been cute, but I just love that. I finally met his eyes. How had I ever found them cold? Even though they're, like, beautiful and silver, he still finds them warm. I think there's something in there that just hurts me, and I love it, and it's killing me. But they're kind of, like, trying to figure out how to, you know, talk about things on the train. And, you know, he was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about things and talk about, you know, our relationship, with, albeit fake, and maybe open up. And he's like, I want to talk about Miles, but I just don't know if I can or know how or how to get into it. So they kind of just, like, go for silence the rest of the way, which is fine. I mean, it would be glaringly awkward, but fine nonetheless. They got off the train. The sun was just setting, making everything soft and golden and shiny, like it was taunting me with romance. And Oliver was all casual again. Another crisp pair of jeans, into which his distinctly fabulous ass was wholesomely nestled, and a cream cable-knit jumper that made him look like he belonged on a Tumblr feed called Fuck Yeah Guys in Knitwear. Just the Tumblr reference. I wasn't a Tumblr person, but I understand that. I think it's so, like, funny. But he's looking at Oliver a bit, and he's like, I'm looking at your crotch. Lucien, my eyes are up here. Then stop being in my face with your jeans. He took his foot off. We work well when it's just the two of us, but we should practice being together in company. Is this, I gave him a sly look, your way of saying you want to spend more time with me? No, my way of saying I want to spend more time with you is when I rung you up earlier today and asked if I could spend more time with you. Oh, right, yeah. Something struck with me. Hang on, are you telling me you want to spend more time with me? Would you still believe me if I claimed it was verisimilitude? Maybe. I have very low self-esteem. Probably aware I was watching super intently, he climbed self-consciously over the stile and waited for me on the other side. I hopped over after, taking his hand without really thinking about it as I came down. Of course I want to spend time with you too, he said. Spend time with you, he said. He's still holding my hand. I'd like you to come as my date to Jennifer's 30th birthday in a couple of weeks. We headed for my mum's. I didn't mention the hand thing in case it went away. The fact that it leaves me so speechless so many times is indicative of how good it is. I don't know if I'm just like a sappy romantic, but I'm eating this shit up so hard. I love it. An old friend from university. She and her husband are having a few of us round for dinner. I gave him a suspicious look. Are these your straight friends? I don't genuinely categorize my friends by sexualities. Do you only have straight friends? I know Tom and you. Tom doesn't count. I mean, not because he's bisexual. I mean, because he's dating Bridget. I mean, not that dating a woman makes him less bisexual. I'm just saying he's not your friend. She's your friend, and I'm the rando you're pretending to date, so I'm pretty sure I don't count either. He smoothed down his adorable, wind-tussled hair. My friends are just the people who happen to be my friends. There are a lot of straight people in the world, and I like some of them. Oh my god, I gazed at him in horror. You're like one of those documentaries about, I don't know, the pig that got lost on the edge of the village and wound up being raised by gorillas. I think that might be insulting. Pigs are cute. It's more that you seem to object to my not choosing my friends solely based off who they do or don't want to sleep with. But do they not just not get you? Lucien, most of the time you don't get me. His fingers twisted relentlessly around mine. I tried to do the community thing. I went to an LGBTQ+, well, LGB as they were in those days, mixer at university. I realized I had nothing in common with any of those people except my sexual orientation and never went back. I half laughed, not because I thought it was funny, but because it was so alien to my experience. When I turned up at mine, I felt like I'd come home. I'm glad for you, but I make different choices, and I'd rather you didn't see them as mistakes. I think it's a very interesting page because in a way I feel like I know some people like that, or like know definitely of that type of person and how they do things. And I feel like it's a very interesting thought because I was always weirded out. It's like, and some people are weirded out, and in different interactions I've had over the years, because most of my friends, if not all of them, are mostly straight. And certain like people are like queer people that I know and I've talked to, or even just like lightly interacted with over the years, have like kind of been weirded out by that, or I'm just like, I just don't have it like a lot of queer friends. It's just a thing. I'm not like, no, you can't be my friend, you're this. It's more in those ages where I was making a lot of friends, you know, when you're in high school and you're making, or at work, you're making those like different friendship groups. If they're not there, they just don't, it's just like anyone of any differency in general. If someone's not there, that's just, it's not how it works. Like I went to an all boys school, and, you know, in a general all boys culture, very, you know, a lot of people don't come out, and you like hear about that till after everyone leaves high school. So a lot of my friends that I still have today and loved absolutely dearly are straight guys, and I have a lot of female friends from work, but there weren't a lot of queer people at our work either. It was just, we worked at a supermarket, like there were, but like I didn't interact with them because they weren't in like same departments, you know what I mean? It's just that weird thing of, it just never lined up of that's how the groups of friendship. So I get what Oliver means is like, these are just the people that happen to become my friends. If different people were in their slots or like around me in those times, that's probably how everything would have gone. But it's just, it's kind of the way thing goes. And I feel like being like, oh, it's weird that you don't have these sort of friends or those sort of friends. You're like, well, it's not like I'm not looking for these people or something. It's just how life turns out. So I find it strange when some people are like, oh, you only have straight friends. I feel like that is a Luke thing that I'm just like, come on, does it matter that much? Do we care? Let's move on. His friends are probably nice and love him for who he is. And if your friends love you and like you, I think that's really all that matters. Though me being like, do I say this or it's not an interesting? One of my best friends is a lesbian, so you know we add that. I do have one, and her partner is like the most beautiful soul. So I do have some queer friends as I got older, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. Now, just before we go into chapter 25, I got a bit weird. Like I loved this bit and also got a bit weirded out by it. So let me know what you thought. But Oliver is talking about how he's a bit nervous to meet Luke's mum, which is adorable. Lucian, he gave me another anxiety hiccup. I'm serious. So am I. I stopped and turned to face him. Look, I can't believe you're making me say this, but you're great. You're clever and thoughtful and hot, and you went to fucking Oxford, and you're a fucking lawyer. You're not dying of consumption or promised to a duke, don't ask, and you're nice to me. And that's really all that matters to her. He gazed at me for a long moment. I had no idea what he was thinking, but suddenly, I was all to pieces. My mouth had gone dry, and my pulse had gone wild, and in that moment, the only thing I wanted in the world was for him to... Come on, he said. We'll be late. Obviously, I think Luke was wanting a kiss there, because he really opened up, and... that in a way what he was expecting. I think Oliver might have panicked. I think he might need to take a lot for that from someone who is not that open and forward with him to say something like that. That would have taken him off guard. But I think that has to come back, and I hope that comes back because I need that to be talked about more. The fact that Oliver he didn't dismiss it. I don't think Oliver dismisses anything, but he kind of just moved on, and then we go into them getting to his mum's house, which is the craziest thing ever, but I'm going to go through it semi-quickly because it is that crazy and just that, it's like, so his mum, and if we haven't read it or you're reading along with me, you've read the chapter, you know what's going on. His mum's embarrassing him. He's talking about, how he has a big nose, and you know what they say about big noses, big penis. His dad has a big penis, but he might have a big penis. Oliver's thinking about penis. Oliver could be a murderer. Like, there's shit going on, and it's so embarrassing, and I am overwhelmed with that sense of, it's good cringe, and it was fun to read. But it gives me the absolute jitters that I'm just like, nah, I'm not going through that again. I'm not going back down that road. I can't. The thing of and in movies you see it when mums or parents are embarrassing over their kids. It's kind of really cute, but it hurts me so much that I absolutely can't deal with it at all. But Oliver's coming in, he's meeting Judy, the dogs, his mum. Obviously, everyone's kind of liking him, questioning him, but enjoying him. They think he's got manners. Oh, now, doesn't he have lovely manners, announced Judy, as if Oliver wasn't in the room. I like him much more than that Miles. He had a sly look, like my third husband. Miles? Oliver tilted his head with gentle curiosity. Oh, so... that was I wanted to get to that so bad because it's the second mention of him. And now Oliver knows something because he knows about his past relationships. But to hear the name and then realize that other people had opinions and it may have been something big in Luke's life. Hopefully we're coming back to that too. There's a lot of things in these chapters where I'm like, if we don't come down to this, I will be absolutely so sad because I want to see how it progresses and comes back into the forefront. But we're having our dinner, our special curry. It's got banana in it, which I don't know what sort of curry she made. I don't know if they live in the UK, right? UK has a general curry, that curry means curry, and that's the thing that they have. But banana isn't the thought I would have had of something to be in a meal like that, though I could be persuaded. They said it's horrible, but I like trying new things at least once. Just banana is more of it's sweet, but banana is used interestingly in a lot of things. I can't picture it, but maybe I'd love to taste. Maybe I should be brought along. Well, when I when I obviously audition for the movie and get the role, I can try this meal that they make on set because I love Luke so much, and I'm not gonna stop talking. Don't worry, I'm not crazy. I think it's just the funniest thing to pretend like I'm gonna get it. It'll be our inside joke. I'm pretending like it just because I feel a deep, deep connection to Luke. Don't worry, I don't think I'd actually get the role because that's absolute craziness. But I think it's funny as. And also this started because someone put it in the comments and I loved the comment so much. So I was like, that's what got it into my head and I'm never letting it go. So thank you, because I actually loved it so much. I think it's I don't know, I think it's so fun. Anywho, Oliver was looking around. Is that your guitar? It was, and it usually lived in the attic. I'd like to think I would have noticed it, but he was distracted by eating the disgusting thing. Luke's father wants me to collaborate with him on a new album. I choked on the curry. I mean, I'd already been choking, but this time the reaction was emotional rather than chemical. You didn't tell me that. Well, you didn't tell me you had a fake boyfriend. I can't believe you're even thinking about this. I stopped slightly short of yelling. Obviously, if you want to write music, that's great, but do you have to do it with John fucking Fleming? We've always had something together, and this may be the last chance I get. I plonked what was left of my curry on the side table. This was a perfect excuse not to eat it, but I was also kind of too angry for food right now. You mean the last chance he'll get? He's blatantly using you. So? I could use him back. It's true, added Junie. You're never more popular than when you're dead. Look at Diana. Yeah, but I accidentally elbowed Oliver in my effort to gesticulate. You'll have to spend time with him. He doesn't deserve to spend time with you. Luke, I decide who I spend time with, not you. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. Sorry. I won't, mon coeur. You don't have to look after me. She stood up decisively. Now, shall we tidy away and get things... tidy away the dinner things and then gag on those fierce queens? Slay. But I just... So that's the end of the chapters we're reading today, but it just... There's a couple of things there that are very interesting. The fact that obviously he is so defensive and he's of his mum, and it's not that she's collaborating or she doesn't want him to do things. She wants him to write music or do that if she wants it. She just wants her to be he's so protective of her, and that's lovely. And I don't think, even when he is usually very catty and mean, that comes out as pure love and you can see it. But the other interesting thing is I opened my mouth and then closed it again. Something we haven't really seen him do yet is think about what he is going to say. He is usually full force, and this is another part of this growth, this change, this blossoming, which I find delightful and really interesting. He's getting to that point where he still wants it, and there's nothing wrong with being passionate and boiling and going, raging every now and then. There's nothing wrong with that, but you should still probably think of the things you're going to say first, and I like that is something that we can see him progressing. I don't know, the progression and character progression for Luke in this book is really good. It's actually one of my favorite things about it, besides all the cute boyfriendy stuff. I love what they're doing with him and getting him to think more, think about, his way in the world, depression, his self-esteem, how to build things up, who to rely. I think it's very interesting, and these chapters were emblematic of different themes they want you to think about while reading this. I don't know, these chapters... I say these chapters are fantastic every week. I'm going to continue. These chapters are just fantastic. I'm loving it. I have the best time. I hope you are too. Let me know what your favorite part of these chapters were, or what we're... Actually, I was going to say what we're looking forward to. I don't want spoilers. But what you've been enjoying the most in these bits, or what your favorite parts are. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed and are having a great day, and I hope to see you in the next one.